In this video, we're going to go over how to change the battery in a BMW. This is X5. This is the key fob that was used from years 2006 to 2013. And this was for the E70 frame of the X5. So if you look at your key fob, the one thing you'll need to determine first is if you have comfort access key or a non-comfort access key. So comfort access allows you to unlock the car, by grabbing the handle. You don't actually have to press a button. So if you flip your key fob over, you can see the back here, and if it has a square outline like this is a comfort access key. And you just need a CR2032 to change that one. It's pretty straightforward, and I'll link to the video on how to do that. But in this video, we're going to look at changing the rechargeable battery that comes in a non-comfort access key fob. So the first thing you'll need is probably a box cutter or utility knife. And that's to score around this edge here that cuts the key fob in half lengthwise. So if you if you remove the valet key first, you can get it into this top part here and start to just kind of work your way around the middle of the fob here and just slowly keep scoring the edges here. And you have to cut pretty deep. It may take, a good amount of time, and just kind of keep cutting around, and eventually you'll be able to kind of pry this apart. You might take a little flathead screwdriver and just start to kind of pry this middle section apart. And once you've done that, you'll get access to the middle internals of the key here, and that's what we're going to be looking at. And that's changing this battery here, which is a rechargeable 3-volt VL2020 battery. So go ahead and pull this circuit board out, and what we'll be doing is actually desoldering 2 points on the back of the circuit board here. You'll see there's 2 spots where the legs, which are the points on the battery that attach to the circuit board, these legs are soldered into the circuit board. So we'll actually need to desolder these, grab a new VL2020 battery that we can get on Amazon, and just make sure that these legs are offset 90 degrees and not 180 degrees. Some of the batteries have legs that are 180. And make sure you get the ones that line up with what your circuit board looks like. And if you have an X5 from 2006, 2013, should look like this, where you want to get the 90-degree offset. So if you've never soldered or desoldered anything before, not to worry. I'd never really done it before doing this project yesterday either. So it's pretty straightforward. We have our soldering iron, which is now heated up, and we're going to just melt this solder down. And then I've got a desoldering vacuum that came in the little $20 kit I got on Amazon, and that'll suck up the solder and then kind of eject it. And then we'll get the other point over here, and same thing, heat up the solder till it all starts to melt there, and then suck it up. So make sure it's all melted down and suck it up. Okay, now let's see where we're at here in terms of if this is ready to be removed from the board. I think we did a pretty good job of getting most of the solder off there. I have these little tweezers, and let's see if we got the legs enough separated. We did. Okay, so we did a pretty good job there. Looks like there's a little bit more on this side that we could get off. Alright, so we've got one leg off there. I'm going to get a little more off of this one side here, and then we should be good to go. Okay, and just melting that there was enough to separate the battery there. So we've got the battery now off and separated from the board. So you'll see again, this VL2020 battery has legs on it that are offset 90 degrees. And yeah, so that's what the battery looks like. So if we had a new one of these, what we're going to do is just take this and place it in through the 2 spots for the legs on the circuit board. And now we've got that there. Make sure the legs get set up correctly here. Okay. Alright, so we've got that on there. Now we need to solder those 2 points onto the board so that we have the connection there. So take a little bit of solder. Again, I got this kit for like 19 bucks, I think, on Amazon. So I'll put a link in this video on this if you've never soldered anything before. So we're just going to take a little bit of solder and then attach these two leg connections here just by touching this hot soldering iron onto the solder here, and then melt it down. Okay, that's one point there. All right, okay, so now we've soldered the new VL 2020 battery onto the circuit board, and now we're ready to reassemble the key fob back together. So we've got the buttons here you can see on the board, so just make sure those are going down into the side with the buttons on it here. And this will place right back into here. Okay, and then you may want to put some super glue around the edges here to make sure that this stays in, because it doesn't quite clip once you've scored and taken that half apart. So kind of super glue around the edges there. And then we've got a nice new battery in there. Valet key back in. Boom, there you go. So that's how you change the rechargeable VL 2020 battery on a BMW X5, the E70 model from 2006 to 2013.